Want to be a normal, anonymous lawyer. Can you tell us you all get? Then you're a boy now. Girl, you're crazy right now. You could. Oh, I'm not a superhero. That is for billionaires and narcissists and adult orphans for some reason.
Okay, hey, welcome everybody. We're here with Game Time with Seuss and Lurch. We're just getting everything kind of set up. Lurch is on another screen kind of previewing something real quick to see if we can run it. Make sure it doesn't have any copyrighted material that we can get dinged for. But mostly we're here and ready to go. Good majority of the show today is going to be about the Doctor Strange movie. We'll have Angel in.
Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, we'll have Angel in, audio only, to help discuss that with us. We do have some announcements, though. First off, we're Eclectic Endeavors. We put on these Picnic at the End of the Universe and the Gaming Arts Media Entertainment Expo, and we are excited to say that the art show is on for the expo, and fingers crossed, we may even have the costume contest set too. Which, as we had previously announced, had not been taken up by anybody to run them yet. But we've got someone working on the costume contest, and we've got a confirmed art show. So the art show is on for this year. So we're good to go. The website should be up and ready by the end of the month. To start finding more stuff out. I mean, you can still go on the website right now and watch Chris's video. And as you can see, our dates are the 14th, 15th, and 16th of October. Okay, we're getting some dropped frames, so if anybody's having some difficulty, please let us know. Watching the broadcast today. But anyway, we are going to do a quick sound check. Then I'm going to go over just a couple of things while we wait for Angel to connect in. And after that, we will have our main show, which this week is mainly going to be about Doctor Strange. And this one is the spoiler episode, because we're going to be going pretty in-depth. When we invite Angel over, we really dissect the movie.
Yeah. So this will be the Doctor Strange
big one.
Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, so
spoiler cast.
You could call this our Multiverse of Madness special edition show.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick sound check though. Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
Spoiler cast. Check.
Multiverse of Madness special edition show.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick sound check though. Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Multiverse of Madness.
Okay. I see him on the quiet side. Let me see if I can up my volume just a little tiny bit. Because my microphone does not seem to be getting a whole lot of volume here. Let's see. Input device, input volume. It's at 100%. Well, let's just hope. I mean, you can hear me. I'm just a little bit quiet there. That's one of the reasons we don't run a lot of background music as well. Because we never know how well we're coming through. But Lurch seemed to be coming through nice and strong. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go on to my topics because Lurch didn't really have anything prepared because he's kind of ready to focus in on Doctor Strange this time around.
Yeah, I did have something I thought I would make a brief mention of, but didn't want to spend much time on. The PlayStation Plus changes that they're making over at Sony.
Yes.
They they just revealed like a short list of some of the games that they're putting out on the new version of PlayStation Plus.
Right.
And they're adding a number of PS5 games, like the Death Stranding Director's Cut, the Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, Destruction All Stars, Destruction Cars. I don't remember. It wasn't a very good game. It was like a cartoonish Twisted Metal, but not as good. But anyway, but yeah, over on the PlayStation blog, you can on PlayStation.com's webpage, it has a list of games, not the full list, but a list of
some of the games that are going to be
putting up there. Yeah.
Right.
Which it starts rolling out next week in some parts of the world, and it'll be next month. It'll be rolling out here in the States.
Yeah, Asia gets it first.
Yeah.
Japan, China, Korea, they get it first, and then we get to follow in their footsteps because, of course, Sony is a Asia-based company.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, they've got offices in the U.S. too, but their like chief offices are in Asia, so they do tend to release stuff there first. Okay, well, let's see here.
And that trailer, the trailer for She-Hulk that dropped, the music in it doesn't sound like anything I recognize. It just
when I was kind of listening in the background, and I didn't hear any real music much at all, so
yeah,
we could probably run that. I've only got a couple of things to point out for this week. First off, Dungeons and Dragons' new book is dropping. It's the Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse, a bestiary of wondrous friends and foes for the world's greatest role-playing game. $26.99 for your digital copy on D&D Beyond. You've got over 30 playable races. Monsters of the Multiverse brings all the game's setting agnostic races into one book, and adds even more options for your next character created on the D&D Beyond character builder. Updated format that makes playable races relevant for any class on any world in the multiverse. For Dungeon Masters, there's over 250 monsters to challenge your players, and using the D&D Beyond Encounter tool, updates to the monsters include making spellcasters easier for Dungeon Masters to run, giving many monsters more damage and resilience, and improvising the organization of monster stats. Improving, not improvising. A multiverse of lore, including updates to monster lore that refocuses the stories on the D&D multiverse rather than on any particular world. Face denizens of the cosmos, sparkling with the musings of the wizard Mordenkainen. This tome features a host of creatures for use in Dungeons and Dragons. So if you're a big Dungeons and Dragons fan, then these are the books. This is the book you want. This is compiling and updating monsters that originally appeared in Volo's Guide to Monsters and Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. So this actually replaces those books for the standard use in the game. Because if you have this book, you don't need those other two books to really use most of the information that was in those books. But these books update it and bring it from a standpoint of the multiverse. Everything's going multiversal now. I mean, we got Marvel going multiversal. We've got DC has always been like a heavily multiversal kind of thing. Dungeons and Dragons is kicking up their multiversal play again. So we got multiverses on top of multiverses hitting us, and we're even going to talk more multiverse later today.
Yeah.
So if you want to kick up your D&D game, and as they sometimes coin it, D&D in space, you're going to want to get into the Spelljammer's campaign setting that directly uses a lot of the multiversal information in these books, because the Spelljammers is one of the methods of going between the various universes in Dungeons and Dragons in a space pirate kind of format. So check that out. And this looks like a must-have book for people who want to keep up with their 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons games. So I definitely recommend it. And that's about all I have on that one. What else did I have? Okay, we're not talking Multiverse of Madness yet. Oh, I didn't even pull up an image for my recommendation for the week. My recommendation for the week, we're all fans of Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Well, I bet you did. A lot of you didn't know that Keanu Reeves did a villain role. In the movie called The Watcher, Keanu Reeves went against James Spader as a serial killer who was kind of obsessed with James Spader's FBI character, and so he moved to a new city just to follow the FBI character and keep killing things, keep killing women with piano chord, and he would mail up pictures of them and give him 24 hours, basically till 9 o'clock the next day to find the woman to save her before he killed her. And so then they'd have a massive scramble to try to find who this Jane Doe is and save her. And Marissa Tomei is in it as his therapist, as Spader's therapist. And it's really a good one. Ernie Hudson is an FBI section chief. So you're getting some good nerdy actors and actresses together. And you get to see Keanu Reeves in a different light when he's playing the dark persona. But he's still really kind of charming and suave and charismatic. But in that way that you don't want him to be. It's kind of the bad guy of the thing. And James Spader, as always, is kind of a little bit manic. I mean, everybody's used to him, like from The Blacklist and also from like Stargate and things like that. But this gives you just a real quick one to watch. It's one of my more favorite of the serial killer type movies out there, and it is partly because of Keanu Reeves, I won't lie. But it's got a really good story to it. I like it. And it's my recommendation this week. I mean, it's not in the norms. I don't often end up recommending a lot of horror stuff. But this time we're recommending it mainly because the lead villain actor being Keanu Reeves, and seeing kind of his versatility as an actor. A lot of people, they saw him in Bill and Ted's originally, and they thought, and they wrote him off until he got into like The Matrix and John Wick, and then they suddenly realized, hey, wait a minute, this guy can act. Well, he's always been a really good actor. It's just he plays a diverse number of roles.
Yeah.
And so this is one I recommend.
So I just looked it up. The Watcher came out in 2000.
Yeah.
Back. That could be his first time as a villain. But it wasn't his last time for sure, because he was also the villain in The Man of Tai Chi.
Oh, that's right. I didn't see that one.
Yeah. He's like the Man of Tai Chi. Keanu Reeves plays a guy who's basically runs a business for underground illegal fights, fights to the death, and it's his directorial debut in that one as well. He stars in it and he directs it.
Oh, nice! I need to see that one.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've seen just about everything else that Keanu Reeves has been in, but
yeah,
I missed that one. I mean, I heard it, but I didn't realize Keanu was in it. So it was just barely on my radar. But this is a good one to watch because it's an earlier movie, because it's 2000. So it would have been earlier than The Man from Tai Chi, which is of course a remake, because The Man of Tai Chi is an older movie too that used to be in black and white.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but this is my recommendation. I just wanted to do a quick recommendation this week because I knew we would mostly be focusing on Doctor Strange. And other than that, we were talking about possibly running the trailer for She-Hulk. Did you want to do that?
Yeah, let's go ahead and run the trailer for She-Hulk. I don't think the music is a problem.
Okay. We want. When I was looking at things on YouTube today, I'm surprised they didn't come up on my come up on my list of things.
Yeah. After work, I took a nap, and then I woke up from my nap, and I had notification about the trailer. Complete with a release date and everything.
She-Hulk trailer. Official trailer an hour ago. Oh shoot! Yeah, it dropped only about. Well, one of them dropped like 3 hours ago, but this one dropped like an hour ago. So let's see.
Hey, it's Clint Boyer. Be sure to watch NASCAR live on Fox and FS1 on YouTube TV. Try it free.
Being a superhero is a trial by fire. Who's gonna protect
And
not people like you?
Hello.
I'm Jennifer Walter.
Hey,
hey, Angel.
I have
Angel.
friends.
We're watching the
It's an emergency.
trailer for
We just started a superhuman.
She-Hulk?
She-Hulk right now.
Yep.
So give us a minute.
And a frustrating family.
Cause we didn't ask for this, but you have to deal with it. Your transformations are triggered by anger and fear.
Those are like the basic
So they got,
existence.
what's his name, Jablonsky or whatever from the first Incredible Hulk movie, the villain,
Emil Blonsky, yeah.
Neil Blonsky, yeah, the Abomination. I like this.
Can you tell us where she
This part here where he's like, she's like, I'm getting the feeling that if I don't transform, I'll die.
You could be an Avenger. Oh, I'm not a superhero. That is for billionaires and narcissists and adult orphans for some reason. Is there anything more depressing than
I'm
dating
curious.
in your 30s?
What's going to be the explanation for how she gets this,
With some fries?
gets to where she starts her transformations? Do you think it's going to be,
They actually already revealed it in the trailer as well.
um,
There was a throwaway line that Bruce says that said, you had no part of this, or something to that effect, but you need to learn how to control your transformations.
yeah,
And actually, in the comics, she gets, she has to have a blood transfusion, which is what gives her some of Bruce's. So I feel like they're hinting at Bruce Banner having to give some of his blood to her to save her. I feel like is where they're going with that.
yeah. I mean, nothing in the trailer tells us that that's what happened, so, like, you would only know
Well,
that.
we know that the only thing we do know from the trailer is that whatever happened to her was out of her control.
Yeah.
But I mean, like that is the definition kind of like how it went down with it originally. So I feel like it's a safe call to say that the Hulk had to give her some of his blood. I feel like has to be how that worked.
Oh, I didn't think you were going to be able to be on cams. Like
Yeah, I didn't either. So I'm scrambling to reset the cam stuff real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry. I could turn cams off.
Oh, you
No,
can
you
have
can-
it on. I just
you-
have to set it up to find you.
I told him that you wouldn't be on cams. I didn't think he was going to be.
Oh, got you.
So
Okay.
that's cool.
So I'm just.
They're just finishing that up. So yeah, I I'm thinking you're probably right, but I was kind of hoping the trailer would confirm that was the reasoning why. I mean, it's an easy enough of an explanation.
I mean, they did it like in the Incredible Hulk movie.
Yeah.
They really didn't. They just kind of like had Edward Norton's Hulk be the Hulk originally. They really didn't give you the how it happened. You just kind of like are supposed to understand. A lot of people think that the Hulk movie and the Incredible Hulk are related, but they're not canon to each other.
Yeah, I know.
They just didn't
It might
redo
be
the
same
origin
thing with her,
story.
just be like blood transfusion. You're supposed to be like, oh, okay, cool, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know.
The only thing is that the Incredible Hulk did very much show how his blood does cause. I
Yeah.
mean, that movie showed his blood does cause mutations, and I think, and
Yeah,
so
that's true.
you could see Banner being reluctant to do it. So he's doing it knowing that it could cause her to mutate if that ends up being the case here. So I'm thinking it has to be really dire to risk it.
And that was the case because like Bruce Banner has a love-hate relationship with the Hulk. It's actually a love-hate relationship with the Hulk.
Yeah.
So like that really confirms that he wouldn't willingly give his blood if it wasn't absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm really excited to see the She-Hulk series when it comes out. I know you guys probably are too. She-Hulk has always been one of my favorite characters. And a lot of people may not know this. I'm sure that you two do. But She-Hulk was even a member of the Fantastic Four for a while.
Yes. She also started out as a airplane pilot. So the
Right.
fact that, and then later on in the comics, she became a lawyer. So
Right.
I'm glad they're starting with the lawyer thing because I'm actually really excited. I'm hoping there's some like Harvey Birdman-esque shenanigans that go on.
Well, and we know that Charlie Cox is supposed to be in it at least a little bit as Matt Murdock too. So that's going to be nice. Because that's going to...
Seeing them interacting?
Yeah, see them interacting as two different superhero lawyers. Two different...
You know they're going to team up at the end to fight a big bad. Like, that's going to happen.
Probably. Very, very likely. That might be the first time that Daredevil suits up in the cinematic Marvel mainstream universe.
Yeah.
And that would be awesome. I agree. All right.
I love... Oh, sorry. Go on.
Yeah. I'm just going to real quickly just mention The Flash because it did run this week, even if Superman and Lois did not. We're not going to go over it because Lurch didn't realize it ran this week. So we will move The Flash and our more in-depth discussion of the end of Moon Knight to next week. Okay, guys? Okay. We will pretty much here in just about a minute, we're going to feature pretty much just Doctor Strange and make the rest of the show all about that. And that's why we have Angel here, because we love having Angel here when we're going to talk movies. Angel knows his movies, and he helps us dissect them really well. I had forgotten to put in the chat monitor, so I want to set that up real quick. Make sure I can see if anybody comes in the chat channel. Okay.
Before you do that, I was going to call out the She-Hulk. If it wasn't noticed, the She-Hulk release date is August 17th. So 3 months from today.
And we get Miss Marvel before that.
Exciting.
Oh yeah, we get Miss Marvel in a couple of weeks.
I was a little sad that we didn't get She-Hulk first. I feel like I'm more excited for She-Hulk personally. But Miss Marvel's great as well. I'm not as connected to the character. So.
I agree.
One of my favorite comic runs of like She-Hulk period is her attorney. Is her being an attorney. I think like she did that almost better than Daredevil does in the comics.
To her, to
Daredevil
Jennifer.
has to let them get away with the crime every once in a while, so he can kill them later.
Well,
right?
not kill, but you stop.
I think that's what they did isn't that what they did in the old Ben Affleck movie? Didn't he let someone get away once so he could kill him later?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think his intention was to kill him, but it was definitely vengeance.
It was definitely to rough him up a bit.
Oh. Ugh.
Generally speaking,
Anyway.
unless you're the Punisher, you don't see a whole lot of killing in Marvel.
And that's a shame, personally.
Well, most of the
No, don't everybody kill their evil counterparts in the Marvel movies? Isn't that like a thing?
Yeah. Most villains in the Marvel movies at least gets killed by the end of the movie.
There's not enough people to be a Sinister Six. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Can't have a Sinister Six if you kill them all.
I think Baron Mordo was one of the very few people that managed to get away beforehand. He was smart enough to leave before he was the main villain of Doctor Strange.
Right.
Mordo?
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, on to Doctor Strange. And that's going to be the meat and potatoes of today's episode. Let me bring up the splash screen for that. Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness. Now this, I think I would say, and I think Lurch said this last week, this is better than the first movie. I loved it. It was great. There was some elements that I think they could have improved on, which is always the case, but it was a lot of fun to go see, and I'm chomping at the bit to see it again, really.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to watch it twice, and I think Lurch has had an opportunity to watch it twice.
I know Lurch watched it twice, because when I messaged him to let him know how much I liked the movie, he's like, yeah, I'm on my way to go see it again.
Yeah.
And
I know he went his first time with you.
Yeah, we both I think, then we both go with our significant others next time, or?
No, I went by myself on the second time. Scroll wasn't willing to go yet because of how busy it was going to be. She saw how many seats, like I was showing her how many seats were selling, and she's like, no, I'm going to wait another week or two. So
she still hasn't seen it?
Second viewing. Besides, I wanted to watch it on 3D IMAX for that second view, and Scroll can't do the IMAX chairs because of her.
Were we? I forgot. Were we not able to do 3D IMAX? I thought we were.
For the time that we had available for the two of us to go together, 3D wasn't an option. 3D was. They had a couple of 3D showings, but they were earlier in the day.
That was probably one of the most packed movie theaters. The only one more packed was Spider-Man. But even in Spider-Man, we didn't have people laughing like as much as they were in Doctor Strange.
Right.
Too.
We went
more audience participation.
We went to a slower showing partly because of my health and because of my girlfriend. We went on a Sunday morning, and we purposely looked for a show that wasn't super busy because of health issues.
Yeah.
But the audience was still like very, very responsive, and that was the thing that made the experience that much better. It became an event, not just a movie. And I think that's one of the things that Marvel, you can count on with a really good Marvel movie, is it's an event. It's not just a screening. It's not just a movie. And Benedict Cumberbatch, he outdid himself this time. And he's amazing. And he just gets more and more amazing the more I see him. And Doctor Strange, I think, is his best character. And that's coming from somebody who loves Sherlock.
It's getting to the point where I'm kind of like, I like him so much as the character that I don't want him to ever stop. And I'm like, should we enslave Benedict Cumberbatch? Like, should we get him into a contract that is unbreachable for the rest of his like mortal life?
He's just it's just the role he was born for.
Like,
I'm saying
he's like Kevin Feige. I've come to bargain. You know something funny is I just read earlier this week that originally they cast Benedict Cumberbatch to be Malekith for Thor: The Dark World, and he turned down the role. Yeah, he turned down the role. He was waiting for something that came along that he thought was more beefier of a role or a meatier role, something like that. I don't
And
remember
it
the
was
term.
it was a fan casting that got him into Doctor Strange. Fans suggested it to him, and he had not been real familiar with the character. And then a fan told him about it, and he went and checked it out, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm in on this." And they made it happen.
I am waiting for Henry Cavill to make the entrance into the MCU. You know he's going to. King of the Nerds. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Well, he's pretty much done with Superman, so he's done with Superman.
Is he?
So now,
Like, is that confirmed?
and it's still heavy
Not
in the
that I'm
rumor
aware
mill,
of.
but it's not confirmed. I don't think.
I think the confirmation is that I think he said he would only come back as Zack Snyder as long as, he would only come back to Superman if Zack Snyder was involved in some way. If I remember
Which
right.
they really need to
Like,
canonize Zack
it's hard to have
Snyder's
standards.
universe anyway.
But
So how
Where do we go?
how amazing was the intro? So we know that through toy merchandise that the first Doctor Strange that we see that eventually turned into zombified Doctor Strange is called Defender Strange.
Right.
So
That's
he's
Defender
a member
Strange.
of the Defenders.
He's the Doctor Strange that originally brought together the Defenders team
yeah.
on his
And
universe.
his outfit matches that really well. His outfit looks very similar to a toy that I've had for years for the Defenders Doctor Strange.
And he's
You
got the
know what? I know the
ponytail.
toy
And,
you're talking about. I agree. Yeah, they call him Defender Strange, and they call the Dark. I've been calling him Darkhold Strange this whole time, but later in the movie, he's also apparently called Sinister Strange. So it's great to get like official names
right.
of what they consider these people.
Right. And it was great to see the different iterations of Strange and the very different way that he played each one. It was also a pleasant surprise seeing, Undead Strange not end up being a big bad like we originally thought he was going to be from the trailers and stuff. It turns out to be our Strange inhabiting Defender Strange's decomposing body.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That kind of made me sad. I was hoping that there was gonna be, because this is the Multiverse of Madness, and they went through great pains to make sure the What If series came out first. I was really sad that the only What If series reference we got was whenever America accidentally sent them through all those universes, and the style of the What If series was what they came out to be.
Well,
and
Captain Carter.
At the What If series. Oh, sorry, go on.
Captain Carter too.
Well, Captain Carter wasn't. That's not the same Captain Carter. They've confirmed that.
Yeah, but the whole reference of Peggy Carter being made Captain Carter instead of Steve Rogers was an homage to the What If, even if it's not supposed to be the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I really wanted there to, and that's kind of like what I wanted from zombified Doctor Strange, was Doctor Strange specifically being
the Zombie Strange
Marvel
from
Zombies.
the What If series.
Zombie Strange. Yeah, I mean, how cool would that have been?
Well,
but what the multiverse tells us, and I think it's like really important, and I think one of the coolest things they did was the Doctor Strange What If series is done in a particular style, and by allowing one of the universes to be done in that style, says that universe is canonized into the greater multiverse. So even though we're not seeing that specific Doctor Strange, the fact that it's stylized that way means that that's the way that universe is formed. And so that could be a part of the larger, greater omniverse in the specific, or the multiverse in our omniverse.
Right.
If that makes sense.
All things are
even
possible.
Within the context of that world, things look animated.
Right.
Yeah, and so like that's their reality. It's not like So the What If series, it's not just a style choice. That's just what their universe looks like, and I think that's such a cool way of telling us that.
Yeah.
Hey, they even went through a paint universe, so it was cool all the way through.
Yeah.
I like
look,
that. I like that Strange brought that up. He asked America. He's like, were we like splotches of ink in one universe? She's like, oh yeah.
Paint. Were we
You really don't
paint?
want to get lost there. It's really hard to eat.
I did enjoy that, and there was a lot to parse through. I was telling Lurch a little earlier. I wanted to rewatch one specific scene, so I found it on YouTube, and it auto played a lot of the stuff while I was eating, and it went through. I was able to rewatch for the third time the scene of them going through all of those dimensions or parallel universes.
So that total dimension dive.
It wasn't just one. If it is the Living Tribunal, which is clearly a reference to it, but there's two Living Tribunals in that space.
Oh yeah.
If anyone reads the comics, the Living Tribunal is it's the same in every universe. The amount of multiverses that exist make it more powerful. So the less universes that exist, it's less powerful.
Right.
And it is second only to the one above all.
Right.
So its power is immutable comparatively. And it gets involved if magic becomes unbalanced in the universe, in a particular universe.
Right,
and,
that's when it
so
steps in.
There can only be one in every multiverse, but there's two showing in there, which makes me think that it might be a reference to, but not actually the Living Tribunal.
Yeah.
Hard to say. Now, I didn't want to bring this up because without the spoilers section last week. Biggest disappointment in the movie. Mine would be they didn't do enough with Reed Richards. He barely did anything.
I think they did enough with Reed Richards. I don't think there's anything Reed could have possibly done. No use of his powers would have worked against her.
I'm not saying it had to be effective. I just wanted to see it. Just him devolving into spaghetti was nothing. I wanted to see him stretch or do something, even if it was ineffective.
Yeah, I mean, he did stretch. He stretched his arm. He stretched his arm to punch Wanda, but she stopped it and then
it wasn't
turned
enough.
him into spaghetti.
I feel like they also, didn't want to lock themselves in a box if they wanted to bring Mr. Fantastic back with how his powers looked. I think that would have been a risky move for him to overuse his powers, personally. For that,
I don't want to.
I can see how that. As a fan, I would have wanted to see it, but from their end, I can see why you wouldn't want to put themselves in a.
But the good thing about this is since these are other dimensional versions, they are free to change it when they come back. Because we might get a whole different Reed Richards when it comes out anyway.
I think you're right. And, I really wouldn't want, and I'm probably going to take a lot of heat for saying this, but I really don't want John Krasinski to be the next, our official. He did a great job as Mr. Fantastic. I think he would have done a great job as the main Mr. Fantastic. But
he's better as a cameo, I think.
Yeah, I mean, as a cameo, it's great, but this is, the first introduction of a Mr. Fantastic in the MCU, and he died almost immediately. I think John Krasinski coming back would be a bad idea. I think I'm not sure I would like it to be him specifically.
On the other hand, I would love to see them canonize Patrick Stewart as the new Xavier officially, even as another version.
I agree. I think it was great. He might be getting a little old in years, but I mean, how old was Professor X in the comics?
He was fairly old. He did get one rejuvenation kind of thing when he started dating that alien chick, but
yeah.
but he was relatively
So he was
old.
pretty old.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think, Lurch? Do you think Professor X would have been like? Do you think that specific actor being Professor X would be a good idea, or do you think like he probably doesn't have a lot of movies left in him? I don't want to be mean. It's just like Marvel movies you need to give a lot of energy for those.
Yeah, I'm not sure. On one hand, like I don't know how. I'm not sure how old he actually is, and
But,
when
but,
you're in Hollywood, age can be quite different than outside of Hollywood.
but for his age, Patrick Stewart is also fairly robust.
Yeah, and it's not like the role of Professor Xavier is a terribly physically demanding one. He's not doing stunts.
Yeah.
For the most part, he gets
So
to be in a wheelchair.
yeah, so I
Yeah,
could
I guess when you're like squinting your eyes and like doing hands like that, probably
yeah,
not a
yeah.
lot of like.
This doesn't take a whole lot. Yeah.
Something I noticed that was really curious, and it took me until my second playthrough to catch it. And when I heard it the first time, I was like, that seems familiar. That line that the Professor Xavier gives to Stephen Strange and Mordo about how sometimes, we have to falter and get back up or whatever. I forget the exact line right now. That line exactly is the one from Days of Future Past when the Professor X of the future was getting the James McAvoy Professor X to, accept his mutant powers back and try to do his best to save the future.
You said Baron Mordo, but did you mean Professor X said that?
He said Professor X said it to Strange
Professor
and
X
Mordo.
was saying it. I was saying he was saying it to Strange and Mordo.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think he was acting like he was saying it to Mordo, but was really saying it to Stephen Strange.
Yeah, I think that was the case.
But as a kind of a coy way of passing on this message, I think Professor X realized that Strange was the key to victory, and he knew that they were not going to be able to defeat Wanda. And I think because of his telepathy, he knew how things were going down. And so I think he also probably knew more about Mordo than he let on too. And so he and could tell that this was a good Strange that would do what it takes to save the universe.
I feel like it wasn't necessarily that he was a good Strange. I think it was more that he saw in Strange's mind and felt the fear of Strange. He understood because there's no way that he allowed Doctor Strange to enter in that area and not read his mind. Their attention was to him. So I think it was like all of the above, but I really do think like it was the fear.
You're breaking up a little bit.
There was a point where he sensed her coming from behind, didn't even attempt to turn around. He knew it was over for him because he knew what threat she posed, and I feel like the only way he could was by understanding who she was through Steven's mind.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like that might have been the main motivating factor of realizing everybody else there was going to die.
Right. And that brings up another important one that I didn't want to bring out in the non-spoiler edition. What do we think of Scarlet Witch becoming the big bad in this movie? Everybody kind of assumed she was going to be an ally of Strange by the previews and everything. And
I called it. I told Lurch months ago that Scarlet Witch was going to be the bad guy of that movie. Like I think didn't you and I agree on that, Lurch? Like before the movie.
Yeah,
that was going to be the case.
You and I agreed that it was probably that Wanda was probably going to end up being the big bad, and the way she became the big bad and how they handled that, I think worked perfectly. It worked really well for her character.
Yeah.
It fits really well with her comic book counterpart. And
instead of everybody got the wrong demon. Everybody got the wrong demon. Everyone said Mephisto. Mephisto's behind controlling her. It wasn't. Chthon the whole time.
Well,
When
yeah.
she was using, I don't know if you noticed this. I saw this on the second playthrough of the movie. In the scenes, some of the scenes where she's accessing the Darkhold, the Darkhold is taking power from her, not the other way around.
Right.
Because
Yeah, it's a two-way street.
Siphoning energy from her.
It's a two-way street, definitely. Anything usually developed by those darker creatures are double-edged swords. That's kind of the way we come to think of their gifts as curses and gifts at the same time. And Chthon is one of the big bads in that kind of respect. A lot of people thought Mephisto, partly because Mephisto was directly involved in the comic books with Agatha Harkness, which is of course from WandaVision.
No, he was directly involved with it was shards of his soul that were her children, and it caused her to go insane, which created the House of M effect.
Right.
I don't think he had anything to do with Agatha. Agatha was always a good person in the comics.
She was a good person, but
yeah, she took care of Reed Richards' baby.
Yeah,
she knew full well who she was.
Yeah, she was
was
the nanny for Franklin Richards. She was Franklin Richards'
so she was
nanny.
a good person.
But
that's why and Marvel wanted us to think that, because they kept having her every episode say something silly like "the devil's in the details," or "my husband Ralph," and everybody was like, "There's some evil shenanigans happening there." So like they fooled everybody, and I guess we just didn't understand what demon was actually pulling the strings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still loved WandaVision personally. I especially loved the cameo of the other Quicksilver, which turned out to be Ralph Boner. Her Ralph.
I really do like that this is effectively WandaVision 2, as much as it is Doctor Strange 2. Like, this is as close to the second WandaVision as we're going to get, because this concludes that storyline mostly.
Yeah.
But we still have the potential to get Wiccan and what's the name?
Speed.
Speed. Yeah,
Wiccan and Speed.
We still have the potential of getting Wiccan and Speed for the Young Avengers later, because
do we?
Well, because we have the other multiversal versions of Wanda out there, and you can't always kill somebody forever in Marvel. So even though it looked like Wanda died in the collapse of the mountain, that doesn't mean she did.
At least her gateway died to other dimensions, because like they've did, in the comic books, going to other parallel worlds is super easy. Everybody can do it. Iron Man built a thing. Reed Richards built a thing. Reed Richards has built millions of things to go into other alternate worlds. Mm-hmm. But like in the MCU, they even on magical terms, they are showing just how hard it is to break the dimension into somewhere else, and that's the reason why America Chavez is so valuable everywhere.
And she's still around. See, so
yeah. I saw a meme the other day that made a funny point that says, in this movie, or that basically America Chavez is, a Hispanic woman with the power to cross borders.
Yeah, she's the ultimate coyote.
And they called her America. I feel like that's a slap in the face. Like
it's a little bit tongue in cheek, isn't it?
Yeah. Also, remember like the Book of Ashanti. So we have this Book of Ashanti, the special sorcerer book.
It's the balance to the Darkhold. Yes.
Yeah, and they kind of promise that the specialty of the book is to always give the sorcerer exactly what they need to counter the Darkhold. And before he gets to like actually sit down and read it, he gets like a brief glimpse at a page before the page gets burned away because of Scarlet Witch, and that page had like stars on it, and I think what it was that book was telling Strange the key to defeating Wanda was America, was
Yeah, I brought that up, at least a part of that to you the second showing, didn't I? Where I said when the book fell down and burned away, there was like 3 pages that had a 5-point star, just like America had on her jacket.
Yeah.
And I was saying that with the hexes being 6-sided, that geometrical shapes are an integral part of the storytelling in the MCU now. And I don't think that's I don't think that's gonna I don't think that's bad. It at least lets us know what's going on.
Yeah. So while Strange didn't get to really focus and study it, it gave him enough of a clue to put together that it was, Miss Chavez was the key to pulling it all off.
The science of Easter eggs.
That book burning is like a true travesty because it existed at the nexus of all parallel universes, which meant that that's probably the only book of its kind. Multiverse.
But then the Darkhold was destroyed. The true version of the Darkhold was destroyed, and then all copies and all Multiverse was supposedly destroyed. So to keep things in balance, the Book of Ashanti would need to be destroyed too.
I'd also want to point out how Sam Raimi's fingerprints are all over. He's the perfect person to talk about a Book of the Damned. And
yeah.
Books of the Damned. Because he did the Evil Dead series. Doctor Strange, when he first saw the Darkhold that she had it, he called it the Book of the Damned. In the Evil Dead series, it almost always, every movie, actually all the movies, revolve around the Necronomicon, and it's known as the Necronomicon in the Evil Dead series, but more than that, and we just watched the whole thing because of Doctor Strange, they call it the Book of the Damned more than they call it the Necronomicon.
Yep.
So I'm sure that Doctor Strange saying it's the Book of the Damned is 100% an Evil Dead reference.
Oh, and there's a bunch of jokes going around online and memes and stuff that Doctor Strange 2 is also Evil Dead 4.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a running joke.
I was just thinking, because you talked before whenever you and I was just talking about how the Evil Dead coexist with Marvel Comics, because there was a series of Marvel Comics where Ash traveled around between different Marvel places. What if the Necronomicon is the name of the Darkhold in his universe? And
that's entirely possible.
Wanda destroying the Mount Wundagore could have destroyed the Necronomicon in Ash's world.
Plus,
I do believe that Ash already beat him to it, but but that's entirely possible.
And then of course,
that would have been the case.
It being a Sam Raimi movie, we did get Bruce Campbell.
We did get Bruce Campbell. And and I told this to Lurch when I saw the movie the first time. The hand being possessed and punching himself for 3 weeks is actually an Evil Dead reference as well.
Yes.
Ash had to cut his own hands off because he was attacking him.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's very, very true.
So, I just, man, you couldn't get someone better at doing a horror story based on an evil book, but keeping it lighthearted to be PG-13. No one could have pulled that off better than Sam Raimi. Not a single human being on the planet.
Yeah, and Bruce Campbell, it's always great that he always lets Bruce cameo in all of his movies. I pointed...
Oh, sorry, go on.
As I told Lurch last week as a reminder, Bruce Campbell used to be Sam and Ted Raimi's babysitter and has known them most of their entire lives. And so it was Sam Raimi that got Bruce Campbell into acting in the first place. And
I love the chin, held to the chin. I even have a T-shirt, and I wear it all the time. It's Bruce Campbell with it's as Ash Williams in a Spider-Man costume, swinging around New York. Like, it's the best. I love anytime he's around. I also appreciate that they in all of the Evil Dead movies, they always end with Ash saying a one-liner and then the movie ending, and they did that in this movie. Ash had the last word.
in the post-credit scene, yeah.
Bruce Campbell had the last word. We don't know what the pizza guy's name is, but I'd like to think
Pizza
it
Papa.
was Ash Campbell who didn't have to fight.
That's right.
It's finally over.
Ash is Pizza Papa. Pizza Papa always gets paid.
Pizza Papa.
It beats working at a tool. It beats working at a tool retail store.
No more S-Mart. Although S-Mart did give him his boomstick, so
that's true. I had it was a lot of fun. One of my favorite scenes also happens to be one of the most fun. And like Doctor Strange, like Marvel movies, superhero movies. I don't want to say Marvel movies, but superhero movies, especially like the DC TV shows. All of the heroes take their power so seriously. Like, this is a burden on me, even though I can run super fast and solve all my problems instantly. What a burden this is. And it's like, it was so fun seeing Doctor Strange just fucking going all out with a musical battle with Sinister Strange.
Oh man, that musical battle was beautiful.
Wasn't it fun?
Oh yeah, there was somebody I was watching one of the reviews of who had pointed out that this is one of the things they actually managed to make a real musical battle this time around that actually really felt like a true musical battle without it being a musical show. It's not a Battle of the Bands type show, but they made a musical battle out of that, and that was pretty amazing.
It was an excellent fight scene, and that made the movie. Like it didn't make the movie, but it was like you see all these smaller gems fucking everywhere, and then you got like this big fucking gem, and you put it in the middle, and it completes the piece. And that's what that was to me. Was just like that was such an important part of the movie, and I think they just did it so fucking well. I don't think they could have done a Stephen Strange versus Stephen Strange better than that.
Right.
I just think that's the.
It was classic.
Far more interesting than just having them lob balls of energy at each other.
Right.
Which was a downside a little bit of the. There was a point in the WandaVision where, Wanda was battling Agatha, and for a good while there, the battle was basically just flying in the air and lobbing energy balls.
Mystic bolts back and
they
forth.
were having fun with the battle. I was expecting that. I was 100% expecting that. And I would have been okay with it. It just wouldn't have been spectacular.
Online.
But that's the Sam Raimi flavor of like taking something that people have become accustomed to being mundane and making it extremely interesting. Having the demons form a cloak, that's fucking fun.
Oh, yeah.
Having a zombified Stephen Strange give a pep talk to a scared teenager, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, now, one of the more disappointing things that they've talked about online when you want to talk about battles is that first battle with Gigantos. It wasn't very extensive at all. It was too quick and too easy. He just basically just shoved a light pole through his eye socket and it was done. And
and they never claimed it was Shuma Gorath. Everybody was hoping it'd be Shuma Gorath.
They couldn't make it Shuma Gorath because of rights.
Well, they could have called him Gargantos and then just made him be Shuma Gorath, but and that's entirely in their power to do. But that's not what they needed from him. They needed him to be just a movie monster.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were expecting more of that scene. They wanted more of the little bit of the kaiju feel that you get.
Honestly, for what the creature needed to be, I felt like he was used very well.
I thought
felt
so
like
too,
really
but
well
it was
done scene.
Feel like a boss.
in the list of
If
disappointments
you
of
were
the
to take
movie.
if you were to take that scene and put it at the end of literally any generic fight, like generic magician movie, I think that would have been a very fitting end boss battle.
Yeah. And the fact that
Right.
that was just like almost it was so early in the movie.
I would disagree. I would disagree with people online who felt disappointed with that, only because of how well done and realistic the tangible threat. It took the Sorcerer Supreme and Doctor Strange to take him down. That's a legitimate threat.
Yeah, they just felt it was too short and too much of it was shown in the previews, so they didn't get anything new at the movie.
I don't know if it was. I don't think it was short. It was a fairly. I mean, it was.
Yeah, it was like over 5 minutes of a battle because they introduced America Chavez into the main MCU universe, not the parallel universe, but they introduced her, what she's about. They showed that Wong was the new Sorcerer Supreme and how he fights, and they showed Doctor Strange trying to show off and like where he's at in his magical ability. The boss battle served served as a function to introduce everybody.
Yeah.
And it lasted for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was long enough. I think both sorcerers got knocked out temporarily during the fight. So like it was long enough a fight for them to get knocked unconscious, the other one to fight one-on-one for a little bit, and then for the other one to come back to help and get the cloak in trouble. I mean, there was a lot that happened there.
I totally agree. I'm just pointing out that from things I've seen online, this is one of the disappointments that gets reported about the movie. I think that in a lot of ways, I think they handled everything rather well.
I think they were disappointed because they thought it was supposed to be Shumagorath, and we thought it was supposed to be Shumagorath too.
Yeah.
Lurch and I were certain that it was going to be, but we thought that until we saw the second to the last trailer, where we saw that there was like runes all over Shumagorath, and we were like, oh, he's probably being controlled.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, Shumagorath it wouldn't make sense for Shumagorath to be controlled. So yeah. There for a while, even after Angel and I knew that the name was Gigantos, we were like, oh, they're probably going to use the name Gigantos for what would be Shumagorath. And if it was that, then that would not have been a good place for that character. But since it was just a sea monster that was being used as a demon for this attack, completely makes sense. It's not the end of the movie, he's not the main big bad,
That's what a lot of people are not taking into account, is the fact that it was the beginning of the movie. It was not the big bad. It was not the final climactic battle. This was just the appetizer. This is just like an amuse-bouche before you even get started.
In the first 15 minutes of the movie, we get 2 monster fights. And both of them seem like legitimate threats. Like, Defender Strange could not handle that ribbon monster.
Yeah.
Whoever it was supposed to be. I don't know if anyone's found out who that's supposed to be. I haven't looked. If they have any, real world, or, comic book reference.
Yeah.
But, because, I definitely don't think it... I remember someone saying it. I don't remember who. Someone claimed that they were red, and I think they were brown, but just looked red because the red runes was causing it to reflect that color.
I have to see it again to absolutely be sure, but it was just, I think all around, I think it was an amazing movie. Now, let's see. As far as the Illuminati goes, was there any member of the Illuminati that you guys thought should have been there that wasn't?
No, only because, and I talked about this earlier, I don't think Iron Man existed in that universe, and I don't think the Avengers exist. I think the Illuminati
was the only group,
was the because that's all you saw who fought Thanos. And and also Ultron is good, and Reed Richards is considerably smarter than Iron Man.
Right.
So at least
Yeah.
smarter than the main MCU. I don't think he's smarter than the Ultimate Universe Iron Man, only because like 90% of his body was a brain because he was a mutant.
But yeah, and then
So like it's hard to combat a living brain.
Now, I also like how Kevin Feige, with this movie, has made even more of the offshoot Marvel series have impact, even if they weren't taking too much. But like they used the Black Bolt from the Inhuman series, even though that flopped. They used the actor from that series, and they made it at least partially relevant.
You know what's great? Inhumans is largely so segregated from the main Marvel universe, and it's not really connected so much that the Inhuman series we got could have been in that universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could have been the Black Bolt from that version. It could be the 838 Inhumans.
Yeah.
That could have been
what
it.
I'm hoping it is. I like how they even went to the effort to, whenever they introduced him, describe him the Keeper of the Terrigen Mists.
Yeah.
So they are acknowledging in the MCU that Terrigen Mist is what creates Inhumans.
What causes the change in
they
the
acknowledged
Inhumans?
that in of course they acknowledged that in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but
Right, when they first introduced the Inhumans into the Marvel Extended Cinematic Universe.
Even though I don't think that's canon to the 616 as we're, I guess, officially calling it. I still really like 199999.
Yeah.
As a designation, I like that. That's like my preferred one because that was what it was named first. But
a lot of people, especially
the Research Foundation, designated 616.
A lot of people like the 19999 designation because that way they can keep the comic book Marvel universe as 616. And then the cinematic universe could be 19999.
They could, it's actually the current universe of Marvel is not, or the comics is not 616.
It's not 616 anymore.
616 died. Yeah, 616 died with the Incursion series.
I'm far, far behind that. I do know that within Marvel themselves, they never liked calling it the 616 anyway. It was more of a fan thing that ended up being locked down. But it was a nice homage by using it in the movie. And what's funny is, and it almost decanonizes it, is that the 838 people called our universe 616, and so did Mysterio, and he was faking everything.
That's true. Mysterio also called our universe
616, right? And he was completely faking it. What's this?
Yeah, Mysterio. Whenever he was talking to
Peter Parker,
and Nick Fury, he called it 616 as well. That was a fake designation.
Yeah. Okay. So I've already thought that part through. I've already thought this through. This movie, Multiverse of Madness, makes a point of how when you dream, those are not, just fictional things that happen. Those are things that happen in other realities. And I believe what happened in this is that fiction writer that was working for Mysterio and Spider-Man had a dream of his counterpart from the 838 universe and learned about the multiverse. He didn't know it was a real thing. He thought it was just a dream, but learned about the multiverse and learned that our universe is called 616 and whatnot.
Is that your fan theory?
Yeah. And I don't think there's officially it's a fan theory, but I don't think I think all the pieces are there to really spell that out that has to be it.
The only thing that isn't there is we don't know how widespread the knowledge of multiverse is outside of the Baxter Foundation. So whoever that fiction writer would have to
He could have been a generic tech.
Well, in 616, he worked for Stark, and if Mr. Fantastic is the Stark of that universe, then I would assume that there's a good chance that guy worked for Baxter Building.
Yeah,
He
that's
could have worked for
true.
Baxter, or he could have just been on that world. His counterpart could have been a generic tech. You don't know how far they diverge from each other.
I mean, you know, you're actually right. If all universes are linked, I mean, but then how would they know that universe, the one that he happened to be a part of, was 616?
He doesn't have to. I mean, he doesn't have to know exactly, but I mean, he's just dreaming
He just has
about
to.
things that are
He
happening.
just has to hear it said once and remember it from his dream, and that's all it takes.
Yeah.
He could have been a tech in the room when she was handing out designators, and she just happened to get to 616 when it happened.
They do. So something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about is the Illuminati's universe does multiversal research, which means that they have to have windows into the multiverse to tag.
Yeah.
How I mean, they had to have known about this universe's Doctor Strange, and it's really strange to me that they didn't consider themselves Universe 1.
No,
If
instead there was 838. Yeah.
Here's kind of what I think is going on. I think the Council of Richards exists.
Perhaps.
I think that is how they are actively that they're keeping track of all these other universes, is because Reed Richards is sitting on secret technology that allows him to travel into a pocket space where he can meet up with other Reed Richards.
Mm-hmm. And that's quite possible.
We might even get an opportunity to see all of the previous actors who played Reed Richards, including John Krasinski, with our new MCU Reed Richards, should we ever get one.
Yeah.
And it actually
I also
would
found
make
it
it easier
interesting. I don't remember the exact number, but the one that Mysterio claimed to be from, the number was very close to 838.
It was 818. It was 818.
818?
Yeah. Mysterio's from 818, and they're 838. Was it 818 or 883?
I wonder if part of their designation has something to do with like technological developments and stuff. Like maybe they consider Earth 1 to be the most primitive one that they know of, kind of a thing.
Who knows?
I don't know. That's all just speculation.
I mean, if it goes farther out, I mean, we saw the buildings. The buildings looked pristine. They looked amazing, and they had the power and technology to kill Thanos before he even completed the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You absolutely have the ability to say, and that universe's Doctor Strange already became the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it didn't have a snap, so
in every other Doctor Strange we've seen has been a Sorcerer Supreme already.
I think that's because none of the others had a snap.
Yeah, I think you're right. I agree.
Well,
Defender Strange was Sorcerer Supreme. Sinister Strange was Sorcerer Supreme. Even the Supreme Strange from the What If series was Sorcerer Supreme. The only one not is our 616 guy, and I'm confident
our 616
he didn't get it because when the decision was made to make Sorcerer Supreme was while he was dead with the snap.
Well, he was at the end of the first movie. He was officially the Sorcerer Supreme, and then he lost it.
I thought that too. I am now convinced he wasn't.
Yeah,
one of the last statements is, well, you know, our universe no longer has a Sorcerer Supreme to defend it, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like whenever Wong and Doctor Strange get back to the Sanctum after the battle with Dormammu and everything, Wong says, you know, after he puts away the gauntlet, you know, the amulet of the Agamotto, Wong tells Strange, you know, with the Ancient One's death will spread quickly throughout the multiverse. Earth is without a Sorcerer Supreme, and we must be ready, or something along those
Well,
lines. So
but
they,
you guys,
they explicitly say that there is no Sorcerer Supreme at this time.
but you're
At the
missing
end of that movie.
No Way Home when they say that Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme. Doctor Strange turns to Peter and says it's because of a technicality. When I was snapped out of existence, I was no longer.
Can I say this?
Sure.
They never. We actually did learn. I learned because I had the same thought process and I pulled the same stuff. They never said that he was the Sorcerer Supreme. Him being snapped prevented him from being chosen to be Sorcerer Supreme. He never had the opportunity to be chosen.
That's not what he said when he said to Peter Parker. He said that when he was snapped out of existence, Wong replaced him as Sorcerer Supreme.
No, he didn't. He said that Wong got Sorcerer Supreme out of a technicality.
He did say it was a technicality because but Peter's like, I thought you were the Sorcerer Supreme.
No, he did not. I thought the same thing, and I had to relook it up. Me and Lurch had this argument on the way home from watching the movie the first time. 100%. I thought I was right, and whenever I started looking into it, I was wrong. They even stated as much officially. He's never been Sorcerer Supreme in this universe. He thinks he should have been. That's why he was salty.
Yeah.
Well, and the rest of the multiverse seems to agree with him.
Yeah. So the rest of the multiverse agrees with Steven that he should be Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, I thought the same thing as you until I saw the second movie. All this time, I thought he was Sorcerer Supreme because he had Eye of Agamotto, which is supposed to be guarded by the Sorcerer Supreme. He has the Cloak of Levitation, and he's in charge of the Sanctum Sanctorum. All things, and in the comics, they even state that a new Sorcerer Supreme is needed in order to keep the seals of the universe intact. So all evidence around me told me he should have been Sorcerer Supreme after that movie, but he never was because the movie universe doesn't work the same as the comic universe.
Well, even in the comic universe, someone doesn't automatically become Sorcerer Supreme after the other one dies. The Vishanti have to choose it, and I don't know what they're going to do in the movies. We haven't yet been given in the movies how the new Sorcerer Supreme is chosen. But we do know it doesn't automatically happen upon the death of the previous Sorcerer Supreme.
Well, the process to start a new Sorcerer Supreme occurs after the first one dies. In the latest comic of the death of Doctor Strange, should I say it or no?
Well, okay, I know what you're going to talk about, and that is an anomaly that Victor Von Doom is really pissed off about. So in the comic books right now, there was a Death of Doctor Strange story arc that just concluded back in January. And at the end of that, Doctor Strange dies, and he gives over his title of Sorcerer Supreme to Clea, his wife. And the very next comic after that, and that I think that was the last one that Angel read, and so that was early before the movie.
I wasn't talking about that. I know where you're going with that. I was talking about before that. The reason why Caecilius was able to obtain the powers of Doctor Strange was because he was preventing his soul. He had a soul trapped. He was preventing his soul from passing over to the other side, so the Vishanti didn't know that Doctor Strange wasn't operating on Earth. And he held the hands of Doctor Strange. And those two things prevented a new Doctor Strange from being chosen. So,
a new Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, a new Sorcerer Supreme. And so that was the anomaly I'm talking about, is that if a Doctor Strange, or if the Sorcerer Supreme dies, the Vishanti are supposed to choose a new Doctor Strange as soon as possible, or the boundaries of all the seals the previous Doctor Strange put up, or the previous Sorcerer Supreme put up, would start falling apart, and other entities will start entering the world.
Yeah.
And so that's the discrepancy I'm talking about, is the expectation would be, as soon as possible, the Vishanti would want to replace the Ancient One.
Yeah. And, there is this whole, in that particular story arc, Strange was specifically deliberately murdered by someone who was gifted extra power from, 4 different universes of beings that were planning on invading Earth simultaneously. And
Yeah.
so it was all pre-planned, so that the moment that he was dead, and the barriers got weakened or broken, they would have immediately start swarming Earth. Typically, it's not.
Lots of magical beings in that story. In the beginning of the story, people knew he died because a whole bunch of entities started breaching the world.
Right. That was a pre-planned attack. Well, a pre-planned invasion from those other entities.
Oh, well, a lot of them were refugees. But yeah.
Well, technically, all of them were refugees. It wasn't like they were. Technically, all of them were refugees, but they were mostly enemies. But even those enemies of Strange were refugees because they were fleeing from threats in their own universes, and they were hoping for the Avengers to protect them. They came to Earth with the expectation.
I'm just saying there is some precedent in the Doctor Strange comics to suggest. So I'm saying to Dr. Seuss that I understand why you would think that he was Sorcerer Supreme, because there is evidence in the comics that he should have been. But in the movies, for some reason, he wasn't named that, even though he had been operating as a premium wizard for years.
I have to go back and look at how much time has passed between the end of Doctor Strange and the start of Infinity War, because it's not as long as you would think. Doctor Strange is one of the later movies that happened. And the course of the movie of Doctor Strange, I think, was like a year and a half of time that passes before the Ancient One dies. So I'm not sure how much time there was between the death of the Ancient One and Doctor Strange getting dusted. Like, I'm not sure how long of a gap that was. But however long that gap was, evidently there wasn't a Sorcerer Supreme named yet.
I'm looking online, and it says that he was the Sorcerer Supreme until the blip.
That's fan people. There's no official designation that he was Sorcerer Supreme. A lot of people theorized it, and they wrote it because they had made the same assumption I did. But there's no official declaration that he was ever Sorcerer Supreme in none of the movies, and by none of the writers or staff at Marvel has ever claimed he was Sorcerer Supreme yet, ever.
Yeah.
The only time that they did was in the What If series when they referenced the Doctor Strange movie, and even that could have been vague.
They say that from Spider-Man No Way Home, it is revealed that during the blip means he's no longer Sorcerer Supreme, and that Wong took up the role.
That's a fan writing. That's not official.
Yeah.
Like Marvel representatives at Marvel didn't say that.
Yeah, the dialogue, and I don't remember the exact quote off the top of my head now, but Angel and I have both double checked this. The actual dialogue does not specify that Strange ever had the title. All it says is that Wong got the title.
I'm glad Lurch and I had this conversation, even though Lurch was very frustrated. But we spent a couple hours. I'm not even lying with you. A couple hours going over the information until I was convinced.
Yeah.
Which is right.
He
was not super.
Of just this one specific point of whether or not he's Sorcerer Supreme or not, Angel and I spent more than 2 hours going over it, including going over the footage of all the different scenes that people reference and everything else.
We did. And we were fact-checking each other.
Yeah. And never, ever was Doctor Strange ever, in the movie, this Doctor Strange, ever held the title of Sorcerer Supreme.
He never claimed he had Sorcerer Supreme. He never I felt like he insinuated it. But that could have also been him being salty.
Yeah.
During the Avengers Infinity War's red carpet event in Singapore, Avengers Infinity War director Joe Russo introduced Cumberbatch on stage as the Sorcerer Supreme himself during the interview segment. Cumberbatch later referred to himself as the same title. Since Marvel Studios is rigorously fastidious about every single piece of terminology associated with the MCU heroes, this is no mere slip of the tongue. And by the time of Avengers Infinity Wars, Doctor Strange has apparently earned the title of being the MCU's Sorcerer Supreme.
Has apparently been titled Sorcerer Supreme?
And by the way that they been very careful with the MCU and terminology. By that director saying he's the Sorcerer Supreme, he is the Sorcerer Supreme.
He introduced Benedict Cumberbatch on the red carpet as the Sorcerer Supreme because people understood who that was, and they knew it was synonymous with. But
Yes.
they weren't making. I don't think they were making a statement specifically that he was Sorcerer Supreme.
But they're saying that that Marvel Studios has been very careful about terminology and not just.
Well, let me. In the legendary Godzilla series, they introduced in the very first theatrical trailer for Godzilla 2014, before he was King of the Monsters, before all the other monsters recognized him as King of the Monsters, the trailer called him King of the Monsters. That doesn't mean he was King of the Monsters yet. That's just how we know him as Godzilla. And so I feel like that's like more of a tongue-in-cheek, instead of just saying Doctor Strange, like the Sorcerer Supreme, kind of like way to go about it, as opposed to officially declaring that was his title.
Yeah, and at this point, by this movie, the Benedict Cumberbatch is now played as it's 1, 2, 3. Let's see, at least 3 different Sorcerer Supremes, if not 4 different Sorcerer Supremes.
No, 4. 4 or 5.
3.
He's played against 5 if you include the What If series.
Yeah, he's played as so many different versions. It's kind of crazy. That
would still be a true statement.
Because he was supposed to be Sorcerer Supreme by the time of Infinity Wars, before the split. He was considered Sorcerer Supreme according to what that director is saying.
I feel like that article was grasping for anything. As someone who's skeptical and really want Doctor Strange to have already been Sorcerer Supreme. Lurch will tell you that. I want that. Even that sounds like it's grasping. Like, if that article was only written to say that they called him Sorcerer Supreme in a non-official capacity, then I feel like that's kind of grasping at straws a little bit. I would have to argue that point, because it's non-official. It's a red carpet gala,
Yeah.
But and Lurch is right. Becoming Sorcerer Supreme is a big deal, and I really would have hated to have not seen him become it.
Well, they said that they didn't actually show him becoming Sorcerer Supreme, but that by the time of Infinity Wars, he actually was Sorcerer Supreme. I think he also even introduced himself as Sorcerer Supreme in Infinity Wars.
The article was making assumptions because they announced him as Sorcerer Supreme at the red carpet as an actor. They're making that assumption because that happened. That's not what they said.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they introduced Robert Downey Jr. on a red carpet as the Iron Man before the movie came out, and he hadn't yet been Iron Man.
We know him as Sorcerer Supreme, so we accept that colloquially. That's a hard word to say.
Colloquially, yeah.
Colloquially, but that's not. But I think we understood, we were supposed to understand that was an introduction of an actor on stage, not of the character as Sorcerer Supreme.
And of course, Wikipedia is not an absolute source, but it also says on the Wikipedia that after the 5-year blip, he found that he remained the appointed guardian of the New York sanctum, but finds that he has lost his position of Sorcerer Supreme, which he had inherited from the Ancient One, to Wong.
So Wikipedia, of course, we know isn't official.
Right.
In fact, a lot of colleges won't let you use that as a.
I know, right? And they're not supposed to. Yeah.
That's written by a fan as they understood the movie.
Yeah, I'm trying to find anything official. The closest to official is when that director said it, because like I said, they're being very specific about how they use terminology when they're dealing with anything in the MCU.
I feel like that's true whenever it comes to trailers or whenever it comes to like actual official promo material. But that was at a red carpet event where nothing was official. They were honoring the actor, not his role.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to, especially when it comes to like individuals kind of talking almost freehand, they, we've had discrepancies with Infinity, I remember we had discrepancies with Endgame between the writers and directors about the conclusion of Captain America, where the writers thought that the ending meant one thing and the directors thought it meant a different thing.
Whenever you get like that complicated of like material, like no one's on the same page.
Yeah. Heck, I was reading an interview from Sam Raimi recently where he admitted that he didn't understand Venom at all.
I remember you were telling me about that.
But yeah, there's never been in fact, I think in terms of someone talking about it that wasn't, directly like a line within a show or a movie about him being Sorcerer Supreme, I'm pretty sure that sometime after the first Doctor Strange movie, Kevin Feige, like a red carpet questioning, made a statement about how he hasn't earned the title yet, and we are excited to see what it's, where that's going to go. But by the time he earns it or something like that. But
so why don't we let any viewers write in the comments what they feel like if Doctor Strange has been knighted Supreme or not. But if we can move on to what I feel like the destruction of all of the Darkholds across the multiverse means.
Yeah.
So I was telling this to Lurch a little bit after watching it the second time. How Kithone is a demon that lives in its own realm, and like most demons, like even Mephisto, they have access to the multiverse. So it's entirely possible that the 616 universe might have been the only universe that actually had a Darkhold mountain.
Yeah, Mount Wundagore.
Yeah, Wundagore.
Which, for anyone that doesn't recall, in the comics, Mount Wundagore is where Wanda and Pietro were born.
And so the reason why all of the other Darkholds died was because they all took power from Mount Wundagore. And when Mount Wundagore ceased to exist, it just made all the Darkholds, at least connected to that one specific Mount Wundagore, went away.
Yeah, all the books of the Darkhold were all just supposed to be copies of the runes and spells written on the walls of Mount Wundagore. In the 616
The question
universe.
is that the only Mount Wundagore, or is there other Mount Wundagores throughout the multiverse?
I mean, I feel like there might, if there is, then that Mount Wundagore would have a whole bunch of other Darkholds associated with it.
Yeah.
That isn't connected to the other universes.
Yeah.
If that's the case.
Yeah, I'm thinking all of the Darkholds that all got destroyed, I would think would have to have been copies of that one particular Mount Wundagore.
That's my thought process on it.
So that would mean that at the very least, most universes don't have Mount Wundagore, even if they have a Darkhold.
So my thought process is it's superposition in like quantum mechanics is like something can exist separately in the same state simultaneously, and then if one moves, the other moves, and it's like connected through string, like string theory.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the reason why I'm saying it is because they've made it very clear, especially in the Thor series, that all magic is science. That there's like there's a level of like cosmic awareness you have to have of like that quantum, the way that they work mechanically
Yeah.
That you have control over. And something I really liked, and I don't know if you noticed, I don't think anyone else was talking about it either. The way that people were moving their hands when they were all practicing at the end of the movie, including with America Chavez as a monk.
Yeah.
You saw whatever they were doing with their hands, they were making the magical circles with them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so they were effectively drawing the circles as they needed it. I mean, and that's their way of like constructing some level of mechanism out of the universe to use that magic. And it's just like they make it so clear that it's understandable, it's repeatable, and it's researchable, which makes it science.
Yeah. I do know that is a directive from Kevin Feige, that he wants to make magic have some element of a semi-sciencey, connection.
It's got to have laws,
That's why-
like just like magic, just like science has laws of physics. Magic has to have its own set of
That's why,
structure.
and that principle is why Spider-Man was able to recommend the have that Archimedes spiral in the Mirrorverse or whatever, because the magic runs off of patterns that are occurring in nature and other scientific researches.
Yeah, able to utilize, which was a fantastic battle. What a so many things in that movie, like just explain so much about like how his powers work, including his Spidey sense or Peter Tingle.
Yeah.
That it's an innate thing in his body as opposed to something that he actively does is like that's pretty intense. But so Clea.
I could not be happier about who they cast. Huh?
Do you think she's Sorcerer Supreme in do you think she's Sorcerer Supreme in the Dark Dimension yet?
Probably not yet, but it could be.
Charlize Theron is such a darling.
I could actually seeing it being a way of further rubbing it into Doctor Strange's ire that Clea is the Sorcerer Supreme there and he's still not.
So something I was bringing up to Lurch is apparently, according to somebody somewhere, the way that they wrote the Dark Dimension is that it's actually a parallel universe, not an actual separate dimension. It has its own planets, and that's why. And the reason why I think someone somewhere is saying that is because an incursion event only occurs when one Earth is crashing into another, and that means that the Dark Dimension has to hold its own Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I do find it curious if that's the case, because I remember in the first Doctor Strange movie they made a point of how the Dark Dimension is wanting to absorb, wants to eat Earth. It wants to absorb Earth into itself.
It wants to voluntarily do an incursion.
Here's what since you've mentioned that, I've been thinking a little bit about it, and I'm wondering if what's more accurate is if the Dark Dimension has successfully already consumed a different Earth. And because it did, it's now susceptible to an incursions of Earth.
That is such a unique way of playing with it.
That would work.
I'd accept that as like a canon until told otherwise.
Yeah.
I'd accept that as canon.
I'd accept it.
We do know that Dormammu, like Wong tells us in the first Doctor Strange movie, that I cannot get the right name out. Dormammu wants to expand infinitely the Dark Dimension and absorb as much of the rest of the universes as he can, and he desires Earth the most. And I could see him, having already consumed at least one Earth from one of the other universes of the multiverse.
And each additional Earth he absorbs would add to his power.
Yeah, and then wouldn't that be a real kick in the pants of him doing that is what made them vulnerable to an incursion and why they need help?
And so his niece had to take over in order to fix the issue?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Quite
I think, is the current Sorcerer Supreme in the Dark Dimension, isn't she?
I mean, in the movies, we don't have any idea. In the comics, Clea is. Although now she's Sorcerer Supreme of both Earth and the Dark Dimension.
No, oh, I'm sorry, not Sorcerer Supreme. I mean, like, ruler of the Dark Dimension. Umar
Oh.
is currently the ruler of the dimension.
I think so. I think she's the current warlord of the Dark Dimension. Presently.
And that's another thing, because the Dark Dimension isn't very big. So it is actually, like, actively, like, a warlord state as opposed to the ruler of the universe. So them using it as its own universe also doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, as its own parallel universe, because it's just simply not that big.
Yeah.
It's more of a pocket dimension.
But yeah, traditionally, usually Dormammu is the ruler, but I do think currently, at least in the comics, I think currently Dormammu has been knocked down a couple pegs and has allowed Umar to take over.
I'm behind, so I wouldn't know.
I believe that it was the event where Hulk was in the Dark Dimension that caused Dormammu to no longer rule it.
Oh yeah. See, I haven't read those. I haven't read those Hulk stories. I didn't know about them until you mentioned them.
Hulk fucks everything
a
up.
week ago or so.
It's been a couple of years since I read them, but
Yeah.
Hulk fucks everything up.
A year.
So.
Yeah. I just, you know, I'm excited for where it's gonna go. We do have confirmation from one of the Marvel writers that the eye is not the eye of Agamotto. It's the other eye that he gets that turns red. I forget what it's called in the comics. It is actually Stephen Strange being at least partially corrupted, but not so corrupted that his fingertips turn black.
Right.
Yeah, the eye on the top of his head.
Oh,
his forehead.
His mystic third eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually not that eye. It's the other eye that Stephen Strange got cursed with. I guess the story. I'm not sure. I learned that recently. So one of the writers was like, yeah. So this is Stephen is being cursed.
Yeah. I could see potentially Strange, you know, managing to control this corruption and make use of it, whether it's he remains corrupted or not. You know,
I mean,
benefiting.
it's obviously not that big of a corruption because the Doctor Strange that Black Bolt blew away, his fingerprints were black. He had been digging deep into the Dark Bolt.
Right.
Yeah.
Where our Doctor Strange only used it to defeat Wanda. And our Doctor Strange only used it to defeat Wanda, and then he was done with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just a little bit of corruption. I think he'll be fine. Everybody could use a little bit of corruption.
Just a little bit of peril.
Okay. I mean the ancient one siphoned off energy from the Dark Dimension, which was considered super taboo and corrupting, and she was like very wise and balanced it.
Yeah, that's how.
You know, I think it's like so in the I think that's how it connects with Moon Knight in a way, is that we learned that Amit likes to have balance, and balance means good and bad. He doesn't kill people who are good, or like have any bad in them. They have to have an equal amount good or bad. If the scales are unbalanced at all, she kills them in either direction.
Yeah, and she likes balance.
It has to be balanced. And so I think that this is the way Doctor Strange can be balanced.
Right. Yeah, that little bit of corruption is what makes him real.
So I gotta say, in this particular movie, I had a lot of like gasp. Like I think Angel could audibly hear me gasp during this movie multiple times.
Yep.
Like especially when Clea shows up, because I've been hoping to see Clea in the movies. I wasn't sure if it was gonna happen. I'm really happy to see Clea. And
I'm gonna go away for about 5 minutes, but I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, we got about 15 minutes left of the show, so yeah, we'll still be here. Yeah, man.
What do you think about that casting that we got for Clea?
I thought Clea was excellent. I cannot wait. I'm chomping at the bit to see more of Clea. Doctor Strange
Charlize Theron.
3,
I
or
I don't
whatever
think
his next appearance
I
will
don't
be.
I don't think I could pick a better actress to play Clea than Charlize Theron.
Charlize
I think
Theron
she's
is a good
perfect for it.
choice. She is a good choice. And wherever Doctor Strange pops his head in next, whether it's Doctor Strange 3 or Quantumania or what, he's going to show up in something hopefully relatively soon. I'm hoping we don't have to wait till Doctor Strange 3 to see Doctor Strange again. It'd be nice if we saw him in something as a lead up to Doctor Strange 3, like Quantumania, even if he just has a cameo, or if he shows up in Love and Thunder as a surprise cameo, or maybe shows up on one of the Disney series before it comes about that it's time for him to be in, because I can't go that long without my Doctor Strange fix. I need my Doctor Strange. And Cumberbatch is just an amazing actor to pull it off. And now that Clea has been introduced, we kind of want to explore that a little bit. We want to see Clea and Doctor Strange interact with each other more than that brief sidewalk interaction that they got when she summoned her mystic blade and cut into reality to walk into the dark dimension. That was just a taste. It was just crumbs. And we want to follow her all the way into the forest, Hansel and Gretel style, and see what happens.
Yeah. I really appreciated how Doctor Strange actually got like a serious emotional arc in this story.
Oh yes.
Because he needed to get over. He needed some kind of closure to move on from Christine Palmer.
Right.
And
that's why, and it went full circle, because in the beginning of the movie, as soon as the first time we see our Doctor Strange, he's at Christine's wedding, pretending he's okay, and everybody knows he's not.
Yeah. Even Dr. Nick West. That doctor, his first name is Nicodemus.
Yeah.
Dr. Nicodemus West.
Right.
Which is our cat's name here at the house. It's my cat's name.
And the thing is, it's during that, he's obviously hiding his pain and he's not happy. And they constantly ask, "Are you happy?" And he says yes, but he's lying through his teeth. And throughout the movie, there's other instances where they ask, "Are you happy?" And he's like, and he either lies through his teeth or doesn't answer and avoids the question. And at the end of the movie, we actually realize he's finally over Christine, and then in comes Clea, the new love interest.
Yeah.
And that's a full circle for Stephen Strange, because when we first meet Stephen Strange in the first movie, yes, he likes Christine, but he's more in love with himself.
Yeah.
And his ego.
Yeah.
And his skill. And then
Can I say that's my least favorite? I'm back by the way. Can I say that's a plot point I've never really understood. I thought it was a one-off thing in the TV What If series, where Doctor Strange was so distraught that Christina Palmer died that he became Strange Supreme.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was okay. I didn't get that from the first movie, that he loved her so much that that's how he would react. But apparently one of the Doctor Strange felt so bad about it, he would possess virtual reality versions of Doctor Strange and make them fall off of buildings and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a strange concept.
Yeah, because our 616 Strange,
it's extreme.
Our 616 Strange, up until this movie, was not that enamored of Christine. He was more enamored of himself and what he lost of himself when he lost his hands, which is what sent him on his quest to fix himself. Yeah, he was not enamored of Christine.
This movie is the first time you saw him that enamored.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we definitely could tell that he loved her in the first movie, but
We could tell that he was the object, or she was the object of his focus.
His
For a
romantic,
little bit, but the first chance of abandoning her for his hands, he did.
yeah, because she was his romantic interest. She wasn't his love. That was the big difference.
Like just like that's not the behavior of someone who would kill other versions of himself to be with her.
No, because
right?
he would not.
Like someone who's willing to just leave with the hand.
It was more covetous than love, really, because the Strange Supreme was covetous. He wasn't in love with Christine. He wanted Christine because he couldn't have her. He got his hand back by becoming Sorcerer Supreme and stuff, but now he wanted Christine because he wanted everything. He wanted to have his cake and eat it too. It wasn't because he loved Christine. It was because he couldn't have her.
Yeah, I think that's the case because he willingly let her go and almost didn't regret it the whole fucking movie.
But
the only time he ever went back to her was whenever he needed her to keep him alive.
Right. And so they rewrote a little bit of it, but they did, and that's the point behind them constantly asking him if he was happy, is they wanted to show him that his hands and being Sorcerer Supreme and all this stuff wasn't what he really wanted out of life. He wanted something so he wasn't alone, and so they convinced him that he loved Christine, and then they went full circle, and he finally got over Christine just in time to bring Clea in as a true love interest, because he has the ability to truly love somebody like Clea, because he needs to love someone he can respect on an equal level, and Christine was.
I don't think it was a respect thing. I think it was they're bad for each other.
They were that too, but Doctor Strange could only truly love somebody that he can deal with on a contemporary level. And Christine, for as much as she was a good doctor, she was a great doctor, but she was not on his level. And
anything we learned from the comics was I don't think Doctor Strange could truly love anybody except for Doctor Strange.
He loved Clea pretty much. He did. He did quite a bit for Clea, though. And Clea,
but Clea and him had been off and on. He even wiped her mind at one point, so that she didn't even remember the relationship they had.
Mephisto wiped her mind. He didn't.
Yeah, that was Mephisto.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not like he took great pains to remind her either.
Well, so that story arc was Doctor Strange accidentally destroyed the universe, and Mephisto.
And he had to bring it. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Mephisto had to loan him power to give him the ability to recreate the universe. But the deal was that Christine wouldn't be able to remember who he was.
I remember that. Yeah. Not Christine. You mean Clea?
Clea.
Yeah, I remember.
Clea is what I meant.
Yeah, we know who you meant.
Yeah, and so. Yeah, that was the price that Strange had to pay to bring everyone back to life and rebuild the universe, was that Clea would not be able to remember him. And then as soon as Doctor Strange dies, Mephisto restores all of her memories. So now she remembers him, but he's dead.
Because
he's a
cruel bastard
bitch like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mephisto tricked Doctor Strange. I remember that.
Yeah. But overall, I would give this movie like a 12 out of 10. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought, and I didn't think.
Favorite.
Yeah. I did not think they could outdo the first Doctor Strange. Boy, was I wrong. They did so much better. Sequels normally don't do that. And it
this was the better of the two. It was stronger, yeah.
And it makes you chomp at the bit for his next appearance.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of reviewers that I have, I subscribe to a lot of review YouTubers, even though I don't watch them anymore. But I see headlines like reason why Doctor Strange was so bad, and I was like, no,
There is no
We
reason.
could not be talking about the same movie.
There is no
Yeah.
reason it was bad. See?
Sam Raimi, I think Sam Raimi with the I think we enjoyed it because we knew about comic books, and Sam Raimi didn't do a lot to explain what was happening.
No, he let the story
There's
explain
a lot
itself.
of stuff that
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that we as comic book people know about, but not that
That the rank and file don't.
is being explained. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that might be, but to someone who doesn't read the comics, they might be like, this is wacky and crazy, and I'm not really sure what's going on, and this had weird pacing. And the pacing issue, anyone who has has an issue with the pacing, that's an intentional style by Sam Raimi in order to make sure that you're off your. He's supposed to keep you off of your toes. You're not supposed to know what's happening next. That's why the pacing is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Of the negative comments I've seen on it, it's I don't think I've seen anyone talking about things not making sense in that regard, other than some people saying they don't believe that Wanda would get that that violence after what happened in WandaVision, and they think that it's negating the character progression we got from WandaVision. But I think it's a natural character progression given the circumstances.
Because of the Darkhold corrupting her.
Look at the end of WandaVision. She basically locks herself in a cabin in the middle of the woods trying to find a way to bring her kids back. She's getting obsessive, and the only thing she has to help her is the fucking Book of the Damned.
Yeah. And then,
of course she's corrupt.
And then I've seen some people that are saying that the special effects are laughably bad. And I don't understand what they're talking about.
Oh, the way they animated that Cloak of the Dead.
Bad special effects?
The animation of that Cloak of the Dead was amazing.
It was exceptional.
That was great. No, the main things that I've heard complained about is, like you said, people disbelieving Wanda is the big bad, and the one about them saying that Giganto's fight wasn't what they wanted. But you know what? I disagree with both. I think that this movie, I don't know if he could have done better. I mean, he struck just the right balance. Even his use of Bruce Campbell as his cameo was just the right amount of Bruce Campbell for this movie.
Listen, I am a big lore person. I'm a very big celestial person. I like the greater pantheons kind of thing. Doctor Strange has never really appealed to me, as I've told Lurch before.
And it's still
this is my favorite. This is my favorite movie
in the cinematic universe.
This is my favorite movie, other than the two movies that we got from. We got two movies from the Infinity War and Endgame, and those are going to be my favorite for a long time. I think until we get to the Incursion event, I think it's going to. Those are probably going to be my favorite continuously.
I don't know. I said, I love this movie. I think it's my favorite movie, bar none, right now.
This is my favorite singular movie. But Endgame and Infinity War have to be considered one movie. Like, it really does.
They are. They're two parts of the same movie. But I would put this above that for me. But then again,
really? Wow.
Unlike you, I'm more in Lurch's kind of field in that Doctor Strange is my favorite Marvel superhero. And he's one of Lurch's favorites.
Sam Raimi.
And Sam Raimi is one of my favorite directors.
For years, Sam Raimi and Evil Dead has been like I absorb all Ash Williams, Evil Dead, Necronomicon stuff. I've got like $300, a $300 Ash Williams figure from the early 2000s sitting on my shelf.
You watched all Ash versus Evil Dead. You watched,
I have a VHS of the Evil Dead 2 that I met Bruce Campbell at the convention a couple of years ago. Had him sign it. I was super
Oh,
excited about it.
That's
nice.
awesome.
That is
Yeah,
awesome.
it is.
Bruce Campbell is a
And
nerd god. I mean,
he's a legend.
he
He's
is.
a beast.
Only Bruce
I've said it
Campbell could
before,
pull
just
off
go-
some of his lines.
There, like I showed it to one of my roommates, and I like the Evil Dead. We started with Evil Dead 2 because Evil Dead 1 isn't canon, and I started off with the Evil Dead 2, and she's like, I don't get it. It was terrible. It was kind of hard to watch, and I was like,
What?
It's supposed to be like that's what they're. She was expecting someone to try hard to make a good movie.
It was
She
supposed to
wasn't
be tongue in
expecting
cheek.
someone- It's supposed to be tongue in cheek, and she's like, "Oh, well, then it was an excellent movie."
It was.
Like, it depends on the lens you're viewing it through, and
Yeah.
I feel like that's also why some people didn't like Doctor Strange, because like Sam Raimi has a flavor, and that flavor.
Oh
is,
yeah, Raimi is great.
He's making a legitimate movie as much as he's parodying them.
The movie he most wanted to make in his career was Spider-Man, and that's why he did the Darkman movie originally, was to show he could do a superhero movie. He basically helped write Darkman and then did the directing and stuff of it to show that he had the chops when he was a relative unknown to do a superhero movie, because he wanted to earn that spot doing Spider-Man, and he did really well in Spider-Man until they all but forced him to use Venom when he wasn't ready to use Venom.
Yeah.
He didn't
So,
want to use Venom.
Something.
And that would be the first time in a repeated event where Sony would like to stick their nose in where it doesn't belong.
Yep.
And ruin really good things.
Because if they'd have let him run the way he wanted to do it, he would probably still be doing the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Because he was great.
I think they were planning on doing 6. So I found something interesting, guys. So I was doing a quick Google search for what was that ribbon creature at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And obviously, this is not like official anything, but Collider.com did an article that claims that creature is Sidorak.
Oh, that's supposed to be
Sidorak
the
was nothing like that.
Yeah. And I know I was, before the whole like runes thing and witchcraft, I was thinking that was a demon from the realm of Sidorak.
Yeah, you did say that, and I said that, and like upon the second viewing, I also feel like I confirmed my initial theory was like it's not crimson colored; it's a different color that is lit up with the red from her magic.
Yeah. But I mean, other than the colors, it does. I mean, he definitely could have been a creature, because the creatures from the realm of Sidorak do use that kind of design.
Well, and you're sparking a memory for me from the made-for-TV.
I'm sorry?
You sparked a memory for me from the made-for-TV Doctor Strange. One of the spells he cast in that made-for-TV movie several years back was the Crimson Bands of Sidorak.
Yeah, I mean, that's a common thing in the comics.
Yeah,
but,
he used it in Infinity War against Thanos, even.
Yeah. But like that's what I'm saying is like the creature wasn't crimson, and Sidorak doesn't look like that. I hope that's not Sidorak, because like Sidorak is one of my favorite demons.
Yeah.
And it's really close to my number one favorite demon in Marvel Comics, and I do not want that to be Sidorak.
I wouldn't want it to be Sidorak, but I would find it cool if it was a demon from the Sidorak realm.
I agree.
Or mistaken as Sidorak.
That was the introduction we got to Sidorak. It was terrifying and a legitimate threat to Doctor Strange, and wound up killing him.
Yeah.
Like any creature that could kill Doctor Strange, especially the Sorcerer Supreme, is a legitimate threat, and I think would qualify as a demon of Sidorak. But I really don't want that to be Sidorak.
Yeah, it would not just be a lapdog of Wanda.
So I would like to see. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a creature from the realm of Sidorak until we get something official. But I do think it'd be a good idea if it was, and it would make sense that it was.
It could be
Uh,
a creature that's mistaken as Sidorak and turns out to be something else.
yeah.
And that would be
no
fine.
no one official is saying it's Sidorak.
Yeah,
Right.
no one official is saying it's even related to Sidorak,
And
but
the crimson bands of Sidorak, like Sidorak is made of like it's covered in like a armored metal thing, and the crimson bands are supposed to be like an extremely durable metal. They're not actually ribbon; it's bands, but that looks like fabric.
Right.
yeah. I was just reading some comics this week of in the Death of Doctor Strange story arc, some of the side comics, and the realm of Sidorak was attacked by the Peregrine child and his three mothers, and a young, basically a child demon from that realm escaped to Earth and created itself like a crimson armor that was made of like crimson ribbons around it as armor, and it kind of looked like Juggernaut, but wasn't quite Juggernaut, and then created a bunch more to help it create this crimson spire. And when they first appeared, I think it was Captain Marvel that radioed in and was like, "Does anyone know where where Marco is?" And like, "Oh, he's up in upstate New York. Why?"
Kane Marco.
Well, we got some Juggernaut-looking things here in Florida, in Miami.
Right. Well,
Sidorak himself is like a dome head covered in like really thick armor. Like there's no like actual ribbons or anything on him.
But we're 8 minutes over our time. We've pretty much dedicated the entire episode to Doctor Strange, which is what we wanted to do, and we said we'd probably go over. But let's go ahead and call it here. I think this was a good spoiler-filled but fun discussion. As always, it's a great pleasure to have you over, Angel, whenever we can. Hopefully we'll get you here for another rousing discussion here in the future. Maybe when Love and Thunder comes out or something.
I'd love that. I'd love that.
You are welcome anytime, and we'll dedicate a show to it when it's a good movie, because we can spend this kind of time easily on a movie and just put everything else on the back burner till the next week, and like we did this time. And it helps that they put Superman and Lois on hiatus for a couple of weeks, so we don't have the thrust to have to get to it right away. And Moon Knight is also over. The next one hasn't started, so it's a good window to do that kind of thing this time around. But we'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for showing up, Angel. For myself...
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to go ahead and go, but thank you so much. I had a great time. And
we had a ball. We're glad that you came, and we hope to see you again.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
See you.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Isn't that amazing? That was a great show. I hope when people watch this on the recordings, because that's where most people end up watching the show, they really enjoy this show, and I hope to have more engaging shows like this in the future. This is what we live for. This is why we do these kind of shows, because we really want to go and totally geek out on our favorite movie franchises and comic book heroes and stuff. And we got to really stretch our geek legs today. So that was great. We will catch everybody next week, where we will go over this week and next week's Flash. And we will finally do a more in-depth about the whole Moon Knight series. And then we'll have some other new content. Of course, I'll have another recommendation. Yeah. We'll talk to you about some stuff going on in the console world like our normal shows. So it won't be the focus show that this one was. And yeah, we'll get back to normal. But we'll look forward to seeing Angel again in our next big movie.
Come back next week
Yeah.
for our regularly scheduled programming.
That's right. And after these messages, we'll be right back. Ding.
Yeah.
All
right.
All right. Finish him.
Peace out, guys. See you next time.
Over.